Hello everybody and welcome back to another review of this Oxford United season. Look, we were all looking for momentum, weren't we? We were looking up the table for the first time this season. We just had a good win at home against Port Vale. We followed that up with a really hard-working win over Woking in the FA Cup. And we came into this one expecting to win this game. Let's not beat around the bush on that one. Every Oxford fan, myself included, expected Oxford United to turn up against Forest Green today, who are bottom of the league, put in a decent performance, come away with 3 points, and all of a sudden start to find ourselves in the top 10 of the league, staring quite closely at the playoffs. Should have known better. We should have known better. If this season has taught us nothing, it should be that we should not raise our expectations above a very small, low standards. I would actually say fair play to Forest Green. I think they played really well today, and that feels like I'm being very patronising to them. But I think they gave as good as they got. I thought it was a case of two sides that looked all right going forward, two sides that looked pretty ropey at the back, and I think Forest Green caused Oxford as many problems as we caused them, and on another day they could have come away from the Kassam with a victory. I think both goalkeepers had excellent games. It was actually quite an entertaining end-to-end game, dare I say, a basketball-esque. It finished Oxford United 1, Forest Green Rovers 1. I'll have a little recap of the game, I'll do some player ratings, and then I'll do my final thoughts. The timestamps are below if you want to skip to any of those in particular. That's fine if you do. But if you could hit like and hit subscribe on this video, if you haven't hit subscribe before, then please do it. It helps me out so much to grow this channel. And on a day where it felt like a balloon slowly being deflated in terms of the energy level to at the end, I've really had nothing left to give. I really could do with the likes, to be honest with you. United made some changes from the side that beat Woking. Elliot Moore took a knock in that game, so he was very much missed at centre-back, which meant Sam Long came in, coming back from injury himself, to play centre-back alongside Finlay. Marcus McGuane was rested and needed a rest, really. I think he's played a lot of football this season, which saw a midfield three of Bate, Brannigan and Marcus Brown, and then you had Henry, then you had Bodin, and you had Taylor leading the front three. Forest Green Rovers, like a lot of sides in League One, us including, have had a pretty torrid time with injuries. They made 4 changes from the side that lost to Wickham. Oh, that's such a horrible side. I understand your pain in that one, Forest Green fans. Luke McGee came back in goal, and I'll be bloody glad he did. He had a fine game. Bailey Cargill came back in skippering the side. He obviously went off injured again, so that's not great for him. Peart Harris and Josh Marsh came in. Amari Little misses out through injury. And I was a little surprised that Jamille Matt was on the bench and didn't start the game. Let me know on that one, Forest Green fans. Is he coming back from an injury himself? But it's a Forest Green side that have struggled this season and struggled defensively, conceding a ton of goals in the 30s, I think, and you're really hoping that this will be a game where Oxford just got the job done. And at the start of the match, you were thinking it's going to be a procession, really. Oxford started the game on fire. Really could have been inside in the lead in the first minute. A flurry of chances and corners. All the pressure on Forest Green in the opening few minutes of this game. A shot from Henry, which was well saved by McGee. A good header by Long from the corner, which was good save by McGee. Get ready to hear that phrase a lot. And then there was nearly an own goal from the following corner as well, as Oxford really got up ahead of steam early in this game. And it was refreshing to see that we carried on from where we've been in recent weeks, where all of a sudden players are taking more risks on the ball. Passing's a lot better. Players playing on the half turn like Lewis Bate, like Bodin, Javan Anderson, looking threatening when he would come forward as well. As much as a liability, he still looks at the back. And it was just showing that you didn't need to have searing pace in the side if you've got good technical players that can pass their way around it. But Forest Green gave as good as they got going forward as well, and a lot of chances they created. They pressed Oxford very high, and they forced Oxford into mistakes through midfield and sometimes through the back line. A lot of lack of cohesion really in this back fours, understandably, and Forest Green definitely created chances through that. There was March who nearly nicked him for a goal after 13 minutes against a pretty ropey defending from Brown. Kieran Brown didn't have a great game today. But then just before the 20-minute mark, Oxford did take the lead, and it was the first time in the game that Javan Anderson got the ball and actually ran forward, and it was really his run that was the catalyst for this goal. He must have drove like 25 yards with the ball, got into the middle of the pitch, played a through ball, which somehow found its way through to Henry, and then Henry took it round the goalie, and it's given as Henry's goal. It could easily be an own goal as well, but there was a massive suspicion of offside in there, and looking back on it, I mean, it looks like it should have been given, really. So Oxford kind of got a bit lucky with that one. It evened itself out because at the end of the first half, there was a blatant shirt pull on Henry in the box, which should have been given. So maybe that's a bit of yin and yang on that one. But Oxford did go into the lead, and they did hold that lead till half time. But again, it was very even, and it could have very easily been any scoreline at halftime, really. There were chances coming at both ends. Boys forced Eastwood into a good save, and then Kieran Brown got in and he forced McGee into a good save at the other end, and then Henry nearly got on the rebound before probably one of the greatest saves of the season. Forest Green got down the right-hand side, put a good cross in, and Wickham with the header. He should have scored, really, but Eastwood somehow gets across his goal and claws it out on the line. A wonderful, wonderful save. A much maligned goalkeeper this season. He had a stellar game today, and he's actually in really good form. Kept Oxford United alive in this game, absolutely. So Oxford went into the lead at half-time. Very 50-50 game, could have gone either way, as I said. Disappointing that Billy Bowden went off injured as well early in this one. He's been in good form, went off with looked like to be a hamstring injury, which is a real shame. Tyler Goodrum came on, and I thought he had a good game, but really disappointing for Bowden. He's just getting back into form, and it's another spell on the sidelines, looking for a few weeks off with that one, probably. Second half was really weird. It seemed like Oxford didn't know whether to stick or twist a little bit and got caught in between. We're not a side that can keep clean sheets, and that's come back to haunt us again. But 55 minutes, it was Tyler Goodrum who did have a good strike from the edge of the box. Again, well saved by McGee in the Forest Green goal before Forest Green did get their equaliser. And it was a fine move by them, which really took advantage of some pretty slack defending in midfield. Oxford allowed Forest Green to really move this ball around a bit too easily for my liking. They got wide on the right-hand side again. Lovely ball in by O'Keefe. Matt had peeled away from long. Lovely header into the goal. It's a really good goal, and Forest Green deserved it for the attacking intent they showed in this game, if nothing more. And again, I have to say, I really don't know why Jamille Matt didn't start this game. And then the game went a bit crazy. Oxford sprung into life again, thinking, oh, God, we've thrown away a lead. We've got to get back and get the lead. This was a game we should have won. And all of a sudden started to pick up the tempo a little bit. There was a shot from Taylor. Again, well saved by McGee. Before Forest Green then went straight on the counter-attack, and O'Keefe went straight in on goal. Brown left for dead, really. Eastie then makes another good save, and the second ball came across, and Boys somehow hit the post, and then it hit Eastwood's back and went back. So Oxford were really living dangerously at the back. Both sides did create chances towards the end. I would say Oxford probably ended the game on a bit more of ascendancy. In 10 minutes of stoppage time, Oxford did try to pour forward. There was a free kick which brought Brannigan where the shot went just wide. There was a long-range effort from Kieran Brown right at the end which flashed just wide. There was probably a number of other chances as well. We were creating pressure. We just couldn't get that decisive goal. And at the end of the game, you have to say there were boos at the end, and I think that was a little bit harsh. It was one of those ones where it's disappointing. We should have got the win today, but Forest Green came and got a point, and I would say deserved that point, and you can't begrudge them for that, regardless of where they are in the league. Yes, Oxford, we would like to have thought we should have won this game, but we didn't, and at the end of the day, if you don't win it, it's probably, at least we didn't lose it, and at least we carry on a little bit of unbeaten run. It does feel like this was a good chance to really cement some momentum into the season. It's not there. Again, it looks like we're going to be losing some players to injury. There were some players that went down with knocks towards the end of the game. Taylor went off with a head injury. So you don't know if he's going to be missing. Yeah, I don't know whether the Wednesday night game against Woking on that dog of a pitch in the bad weather came back to haunt us a bit at the end of that game. But Forest Green have got players out themselves, so bit of a weird one. Jump into some player ratings. Let's start with the man of the match. Undoubtedly man of the match, Simon Eastwood. Had a fine game, made some great saves, and he basically was the reason Oxford United got a point today above anything else. 9 out of 10 for Simon Eastwood. Kieran Brown gets a 6, a dip in standards for him. I think this was his probably weakest game he's had for a while. I'm not sure whether it was fatigue, but he was not at his best. Got beaten a few times down the right-hand side. Looked all right going forward, though. 6 out of 10 for Kieran Brown. Stuart Finley gets a 5. I thought he was really sloppy today again. Made mistakes. Did okay with some of his routine defensive work, but it always looked a bit of a liability at the back, as did Sam Long. I don't think he was very good either today. Just coming back into the game, he was given a tough game by Wickham and Matt up top, and I don't think he looked very good at centre-back. Probably wasn't helped by having Anderson at right-back, but I do think Anderson deserves a 7 out of 10. It's the effort and intent that he shows. He looks a calm presence. He looks a willing runner. He's got some great pace. His final ball just needs to get better, but he is seemingly getting better every time he plays, and that's encouraging. He gets a 7. Brannigan gets a 6 for me. I don't think he really impacted the game too much. I think he was all right and tidy, but he didn't really... I wouldn't say he went missing a little bit in the second half, but he didn't really see him impacting the game too much. Henry gets a 7. He got the goal, and I thought he was lively in the first half, but he did tail off. But I do think his first half performance was pretty good, and he was picking up pockets of space. I just think he just didn't have the fitness to last the 90 minutes. Lewis Bate gets a 7, improving every week again. I think Lewis Bate, he's a wonderful player to watch. He plays on the half turn. He's not afraid to take risks with the passing, and I really like that. He looks a composed presence on the ball, and I think we're starting to see encouraging signs from Lewis Bate. Marcus Brown gets a 5. I think this wasn't a good game for Marcus Brown. His effort was there, and you can't fault his effort. He was willing runner right the way till the end of the game. He was always trying to create something. It's just his little flicks, his little touches, his passing just wasn't quite on point today. Shooting wasn't on point. 5 out of 10, unfortunately, for Marcus Brown. Not going to rate Billy Bowden, but Goodrum came on for him, and I thought Goodrum had a fine game as well. You know, he got involved in the game. He was a willing runner. He got in behind Forest Green a number of times. There was a number of times where he was able to get the ball into space and drive Oxford forward. Again, another encouraging performance from Tyler Goodrum. Could have easily scored a goal in this game as well. So again, 7 out of 10 for Tyler Goodrum. Taylor gets a 6. For all the creative intent Oxford had, there was really only one shot that Taylor had in the game. So again, it's a bit of a failure for Oxford to get the ball into him. But I don't think he particularly had a great game either. Not going to rate McGuane, Seddon or O'Donkor. Neither of them played for that long, and so they don't mean unfair to grade them. But Cole Robinson, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. I don't think there's his fault. This performance today, he's a little bit hamstrung with the players that are out. That's an excuse. I know he likes to use it. He's probably going to use the Woking game as an excuse, which is disappointing. But to lose Billy Bowden early in the game was a bit of a blow, and you could see the Oxford players were tired at the end. And I don't think his tactics were too bad today. We missed Elliot Moore at the back. That's not his fault either. And I think he set an Oxford side out to win the game, and they should have done it. They just didn't get the job done on the pitch. That wasn't really his fault, I don't think. 7 out of 10 for Robinson. And that brings me to my final thoughts. And my final thoughts are: don't be too hard on Oxford after this one. We'll be frustrated. We'll be annoyed, but let the mist clear a little bit, and let the Robinson hate clear a little bit, and just say, on another day, this is a game we could have won. On another day, it's a game we very easily could have lost. Forest Green came and played a pretty good game today, I would say. You can say Oxford, well, we made them look good. I don't think that's the case. I thought they looked very good going forward, and I think that, if anything, it's definitely the defensive end of the pitch where their problems are, not so much going forward, I would say. And they deserved a point, and that's all you can say from it. You know, it's not our day today, but we're still unbeaten in, I think, like 7 games. So it is still a work in progress for this Oxford United side. It's not all doom and gloom. We've got a week off now before the FA Cup. Hopefully, some bodies can be rested for that one. And then it's a bit more week-to-week football, so hopefully players can get a bit more rested and get over some fatigue. Yes, we would have liked to have won it, but again, I don't think it's the end of the world that we didn't. Oxford United fans, let me know your comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on the game. Forest Green fans as well, let me know your thoughts on the game too. I thought you did well today, and again, it's just in defence, isn't it? You know, I can see quite clear where the problems are in the league table and by watching you today. But you put in a really good performance, and I think deserves at least a point. So that just leaves me to say thanks for watching. Leave your comments down below. If you could hit like, that's great. And if you can subscribe to the channel, that would help me out a lot. Let's go and enjoy the World Cup, and we'll be back for a relief from league duty next week against Exeter. A little bit of a free hit, that one. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.